I'll call this meeting to order pursuant to state executive orders, which suspend in-person requirements. We are meeting remotely and following the rules on remote meetings. Can I have a motion on approval of the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, Samantha?
Yes.
Sophia?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. And the minutes. Can I have the minutes were in the package? Can I have a motion on the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
And Samantha?
I said I'll second.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I'll call the question. We'll vote. Samantha?
Yes.
Sophia?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Great. Okay. Public comment. Instructions were given to email or mail. Any public comment? Rick?
We received none.
No.
Are you guys receiving that email from somebody that claims they want to write for our webpage?
Yes, I asked Rick about that.
Yeah,
I have not responded because it has nothing to do with me anyway. So
I mean, you can assign one of you guys to send those on to me if you have any question, but it's essentially spam.
That's what I figured. And then I also received one that said I owed money as well, like $100 and something. And then the domain was Decatur Public Library. And I'm like, I don't think so.
I forward you get something like that, forward it to me also, so I can let Matt know, and he can, tighten up the security or whatever he needs to do.
I didn't get that one. I did get
that one. Was like a bill, like yesterday or the day before, and I didn't click on the link. I went and looked up the company, and then when I actually read the email, I was like, this is not real. And then also it's saying that I owed the money to Decatur Public Library for some software you guys had.
But if you got that, there might have been a breach, and maybe patrons are getting what looks like bills. Rick, can you?
Well, patrons don't have a DecaturLibrary.org domain in their email, so you guys do. If somebody emails Decatur or board@DecaturLibrary.org, it goes to each of your personal emails.
Okay.
I'm going to see if I can find it, and I'll forward it to him if I find it in my trash.
Great. Okay, then we'll go on to old business. Capital needs, obviously, mostly not putting that back again. I am curious about how Greg feels the landscaping is going. I mean, I presume we're not doing anything at all with the cold weather.
We're not, and it's, when the cold weather came, it was a heck of a lot greener than it was back in September. So by November it was pretty green. And we'll see what the spring brings.
Okay. All right. Is there any other old business? Okay, then let's go on to the check register. There are two check registers, November and December. The November check register is widely spaced. The December check register is closer together. I didn't have any questions on the November register. I do have some questions on the December register. Shall I go ahead with those, or does anybody else want to start with the November?
You can go.
Okay, so let's see, on page 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm gonna run and get some glasses because it's hard for me to read this, okay?
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll be quick.
Okay, on page 4, there's something called Send Source, SEN, for $180. It's not very much money, but I'm curious about it. Virtual monitoring, patron counting, does that to give us a better look at what?
So we've got, it's another software module for our patron counter that we already have. And what it does is, so when we open back up, if we set limits on capacity, it will, we'll set it up so it'll give us an alert when we're about to reach capacity. That way we can then put somebody at the door and make sure that we don't exceed whatever our capacity is. For
So that's what he was. That's what you were talking about at the at the special
So
meeting.
for $180 a year, I thought it would be worth it.
Great. Okay, and I will note
so.
for the recording that Greg has entered the meeting.
Oh, hi, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Okay, so then there's, I think, Rick, it's another like 3 pages on, something called Mama's Boys for $1,500. It's identified as children's programming and presentations. Right
Yeah,
there.
honestly, I'm not sure what that is. I saw that just before the meeting, and typically that's going to be paid for. It is paid for by the Friends, so that's
thanks.
That's why the budget line is other library grant expense that's paid for by the Friends. I'm going to have to go back and check our Friends funding request so I can make sure I know what it is. I could probably do that while we're talking.
Okay,
It's a grant, Rick. You remember the grant that Susan and Alyssa worked on? And we got the grant check and sent it over. It's Mama's Boys. I think we have a flyer right in the out in the hallway out there.
Okay. While you're on that page, Rick, I have
that's an expense. That's not a deposit. So who is the grant from?
We I can send it to you here in just a couple of minutes, but we deposited the grant when we actually sent over the expense. So the grant was deposited in expense. So they sort of
I bet I know what it is. It's the Racial Healing Book Discussion Group for middle schoolers.
Oh, the class act.
Yeah, the grant actually came from United Way. They wanted to help us out. And so what that is going to pay for, what that paid for is the author is actually the author of the book they're discussing in February is actually going to be at the Zoom meeting. He's going to be there to talk with the kids.
That's so cool. I saw that, and I was going to listen to that book on Libby.
Yeah, we got an email about that. I remember that.
Yeah, it's available on Libby right now, as an audiobook at least.
I love audiobooks.
Also, that's not all of the. We actually got 2,000 more. Well, we're going to have we got another $1,000. I think it was total 2,500, but they're going to send some more because we've had such a response, and we've already purchased and are going to purchase even more of copies of the book for the kids who are going to participate that they can keep.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow. Great. Super. While you're on this,
we didn't apply for that grant. They reached out to us. They saw what we were doing and they came to us and said, we want to help.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That means we're doing something right. Yep. People are coming to us and giving us money.
Yep. Thanks for the reminder, Robert.
Can we, and I hope we're continuing to promote that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've already got, I mean, we're going to be pushing our Zoom capacity, which is 300.
Oh, wow.
Great. Good problem to have. Okay, on that page, there are 3 others below that, A to Z Database, EBSCO, and Gale. And
so here's the A to Z database. You know, there's you can find individuals, but a lot of what is used for is this is kind of a business database. You know, there's a lot of I can tell you that the EDC uses it quite a bit for instance. But there's, you know, if you were a business and you were wanting to get a mailing list for marketing, good place to start. What were the next 2 on the list there, Amy?
EBSCO for periodical subscriptions, almost $16,000.
Yeah, that's not a database. EBSCO handles our magazine subscriptions. We get them all through them, and they handle those for us, and that's all.
Ones?
What?
The physical ones?
Yes, the physical ones.
And then the next one is Gale Group Best of Gale ebook subscription.
Yeah, I'll show you what that is. So we have a virtual reference library, and the books had gotten kind of backdated. So this is, we updated everything, every book in the reference library, and that's what the cost was for that. So
Are those like textbooks?
They're reference books. They're not textbooks per se, but they're the same thing you might find on the reference shelf.
Got it.
Okay, so and there's a clear link on the website to this resource.
Yep. So if you go into research, all databases, and it is down here, Gale, which one is it? Virtual reference library.
Great. So how are we doing on promoting our online reference?
Well, you know, it depends on how you measure that. I mean, the usage is up last year, but it's, I mean, all electronic usages are up. So I'm not sure that it's, you know, that I can take any credit for it. I mean, people couldn't come into the building. So, I mean, that's going to increase usage of electronic resources. But usage is up. I mean, if it weren't for that, our certain numbers for 2020 would be in a lot worse shape than they are. But the usage on all of our databases is up.
But we've talked several times about the need to specifically let people know about specific things. And you've talked about various ways to do that.
Yep, and we've dipped our toes in, and it's begun. So I just don't know that we've got a good way to measure the success of it, but it is happening.
So you are implementing targeted emails and
correct?
Okay.
Yeah, we really just got started on it about a month ago, and I think the first one was I want to say it was for some of the local history programming.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that one. I haven't seen a ton of them. I get like the monthly one, and then I get the local history one. I think I tried to sign up for all of them just for my information. So it was kind of quiet during the holidays. So I don't.
Right. Yeah. We found you know a pretty good way to get you know a spreadsheet of okay, who's checked out books in the 900 range, you know, which is geography and history. So then you can assume an interest there and send just those people. So we've just got started with that.
Okay.
Well, the other thing is you want to be careful and not send too many emails, because then people will just stop reading them, because the Country Club with Gator sends out so many emails. I don't read any of them. Well,
in theory, this could get you, and I've long argued that, but in theory, this could get you fewer emails. So
no, and I'm totally fine with that. What I'm saying is that you don't want to like I mean, some people need to take some responsibility and open up our webpage and search it as well. We can't just sit there and like bombard them and say, we have this, 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 we have this. We also have to, you know, I mean, I think it's awesome. And I love the targeted. I think the targeted is the best, because then you're not going to be getting emails about stuff you could care less about.
Unless you're checking things out from the entire spectrum of our library, you should get fewer emails this way.
Yeah.
And they should pay off more. So when I open it, this is really something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And encourage you to keep doing that. That's the hope anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, Rick. And as you get more experience with this, I'll look forward to hearing from you every month about how that's going and if you can see any trends. The only other question I had on the check register was just a general one of, you know, looking at our wireless stuff and just see how the hot spots are going. Are all of the additional ones in circulation? Is there more need out there?
I'm gonna let Robert answer this, because I know yesterday or 2 days ago, staff was saying they're just going out like crazy, but Robert would have a more of a boots on the ground idea of how that's been going the last few weeks.
Yes, we had 35 new to go out, and they've been going out pretty fast. Now we have, I think, 12 that are left that are yet to go out, you know. And so what happened too is that we had names on the list that were on there for a long time when we were closed, and we were waiting on hotspots, and some of those names rolled off the list. So those people are coming back, and they're finding out that we have more hotspots, and so they're starting back to request the hotspots.
That's great.
Great, thank you.
Do we know how many we have total, like at this point? I know we've been accumulating them, but is there a count?
I think we have about 38 now.
And how many haven't come back that we've had to cancel and get a new one?
The new ones?
No, we've had to like cancel them and then get a new one because the people didn't return them.
Right. Yeah, we have, which is, you know, it's unfortunate because there's nothing you can do with it. And I've actually, to answer your question, first of all, somewhere between 12 to 15 didn't return over the last few years. And
That's not that bad. I mean,
no, actually, I've talked with other librarians, Belleville and over, I think, Vespasian, some of the other libraries that were sort of the front runners for the hotspots. And they've come up, not so much in Vespasian, but Belleville and some of the larger cities, they've had the same issue where some of them don't come back. You know, we have on this particular hotspot that's going out now, there actually is a GPS, you know, it'll be turned off, but Verizon does allow the capability to actually find it if we ever wanted to go that route or decided that, you know, that was something that we wanted to do.
Well, maybe if somebody says like they lost it, like for real, like they left it somewhere by accident, you could find it potentially.
We could find it, but we just, you know, it's turned off now because you can run into issues with the GPS being on.
And the contract with these newer ones allows us to cancel without penalty. And
I remember you said that.
And the equipment costs us nothing. I mean, but it keeps it out of circulation. It makes it less available to others. So, I mean, it's not a good thing, but there's no cost to the public.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions on either the December or November check registers?
They seem pretty standard.
Yeah, no.
Okay, can I have a motion then
I'll make a motion to approve the check registers from December and November.
to pass on to the board?
Yeah, to pass on the board, yes.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Okay, and then all in favor, Greg?
Yes.
Samantha?
Yes.
Sophia?
Yes.
Amy, yes. Great, thank you. Okay, that was, we then have as a discussion item, the December year-end report, which looks like this. And Rick, I see that we ended as you projected slightly with revenue slightly down. Payroll and benefits also slightly down. And library materials slightly up. Professional services down, that's great.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. And it looks like office supplies and maintenance also down, so that the bottom line, rather than your projection of breaking even, we actually generated a little over $100,000 surplus. So,
yeah, it's not as good as I thought it was going to be, even as late as middle of December or early December, and that's because our property tax collection wasn't as well. It was short, and our as you can see, we collected. That is not correct because we did not collect that. That was short. I'm going to pull up the. So our actual collection was a little bit short on the property taxes. And we ended up spending more on materials than we expected, and that was because we did not encumber. We got that EBSCO database package in June, and it was prorated, and it came due again in December, and we hadn't encumbered those monies. So that set us off about 20 grand in that on the materials budget. But overall, it was a lot better than the 7,000 that we had budgeted for at the beginning of the year.
So at the board meeting, would we want to make an action item to move that surplus to our capital fund, right? Capital fund.
Well, I'd like to hear what Greg thinks is the best thing to do there, because there's also, we have a shortage budget for operating for 2021. So
right.
That's what I was wondering, because who knows what's going to happen in 2021.
Right.
It's not that much money considering our total budget.
Right. I'd also advise holding off on it. It looks like the cash flow position is healthy, and then it'll be June before we see, that would be the earliest to see another property tax check. So
yep. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting.
Actually, they'll be just because of the way the pandemic affected how the Treasurer's Office did the distributions this year. We actually got a distribution in January, and there's another $50,000, Rick, that you'll get. Okay, right. But it'll show in January. It's collection of the 2019 tax levy. Taxes that were paid, in 2020. But just the way the distributions fell out, but that'll get recorded in January. In fact, we've already received it.
Weren't we going to be short 50,000, or do I remember?
No, actually, when this 50 gets added in, I mean, what my thing shows is actual collections are probably a little bit higher than what we maybe originally thought. Generally, yeah. The city, yes. Okay, and I haven't looked specifically at the library, but I think they're going to be a little bit higher.
Yeah, if we were about 13,000 short at the year end. So if you add 50,000 in, but if it goes into 2021, that'll be on the 2021 operating budget.
Yeah, it'll show up as revenue in 2021, but yeah.
So would that make us like almost
effectively? That would give us
that
number. Like, if it would have been received, that number instead of 100 would be 150.
Right.
Yeah, but I think Samantha's asking, does that take care of our $50,000 shortfall for 2021? Is that correct, Samantha? Yeah, in theory, as long as everything's not late next year too, or this year too.
Yeah.
Right, and you don't know what the changes are going to be in property values.
Yeah.
So considering the fact that we have not received the money yet and probably won't receive it before the meeting next week, or we may, I don't think we should make any plans as to what we're going to do with the surplus until we actually have it in our hands or our bank account, whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just talking about the 107,000. So, but yeah, because I was just asking, I don't know.
Yeah. No, last year I think we put it away immediately in January, but last year was obviously a little bit rosier looking before the year started.
Oh, that's fine.
Right, and it's just sitting there. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
No.
As long as it's not going anywhere, I'm fine. You know, like,
Yeah.
we can do whatever we want with it.
There you go.
Okay, well, good. Well, that's all good news, and good news that you got another little bit in January. Then we'll move on to the next action item, which is the schedule of upcoming meetings that was in the packet, the final page. And this is the second Wednesday of each month.
So not that you have to decide based on my schedule, but I will not be able to attend for February, March, or April because I have class and it starts at 5 and I have to go get my daughter before that. So Wednesdays won't work for me. So, but you guys still have it.
We'll be putting in a new board member. We'll be swearing in a new board member next week, correct? I assume that she'll be on this committee. So that'll help.
Yes, or I would put somebody else on there. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it yet. But yes.
Well,
someone would be on this.
Can we approve this and then with a kind of a little asterisk, Rick, that we may have to rejiggle the schedule?
You can always amend it with proper notice. You can always amend it with proper notice, but the state law requires that you formally adopt a schedule within 30 days after the end of the fiscal year. So.
Yeah, I mean, we can always, we've done it before, you know, either we've not had it or we've, you know, given proper notice and moved it accordingly.
Okay, so can I have a motion on the schedule as presented?
I make a motion for the schedule as presented.
Thank you. All those in favor, Greg?
Aye.
Samantha?
Yes.
Sophia?
Yes.
Amy, yes. Great. Okay, other business. Rick, I know we just met as a board, but do you have any updates on how the plans for the reopening are going?
Fine. Communications went out yesterday, and you know, they're updating signage and that kind of thing. We've got the templates now, you know. And we will actually, I'm hoping that Robert and I have a chance to talk tomorrow about it because we'll look at roughly 30 days out going back to the old operating schedule. We just need to give union staff 30 days notice per the contract. So
the only comment I was randomly on Facebook, and I don't normally do that, but I saw the announcement and so I clicked on it and I looked. The only comment was, I hope you enforce the masks. And yep. I was like, okay. That was the only public comment I had seen at that point.
Yeah, and operations inside will be the same as they were on November 22nd, you know, right before we closed last time, which means we're not going to have any seating aside for a few computers. We are not going to have any meetings on site. We're not going to have any programs on site. And, you know, it's just going to be encouraging that grab and go. We're not going to have, the local history room is not going to be open right away. We may look at by appointment in the very near future, but for now, local history is going to remain closed. They'll still help patrons by email. They're doing a lot of reference work that way, but it's a smaller, more enclosed space. Whereas, you know, our computers are out in a big room with huge ceilings, and it seems like a lot safer. So.
Yep.
Great. Anybody else have any questions or comments on that? Greg,
I'm good.
Do you have any comments?
Amy, did you want to ask Greg about the capital, or about the capital?
Greg, I just wanted to know if any further developments on the landscaping. I know there's been snow and cold.
No. Is there
I was just curious.
Any concerns or I know they replanted or seeded, and it looked. I remember back in the fall that when they did it, it seemed like it was taking forever for it to take, but then it did. It was getting better. There was the southeast corner of the area where they had to do when they were that was dug up, to lay the water line. And I think recently the city was doing some sewer work on the Martin Luther King end of the parking lot on the east end, or the grassy area. But other than that, I mean, I think, everything's moving along as expected. We'll just wait till spring to see how it comes in, and and if it's not good enough, we'll deal with something then.
Okay, and hope for more moisture from the sky, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, going back to the reopening. So, Rick, do you have a plan for how the mask is going to be enforced?
Yeah, same as we were doing before. We've got only management staff is enforcing it, and we're doing walkthroughs regularly, and every time we see somebody violating it, we ask them to comply. And if they say they can't, we have other ways to offer them service. Even computer. I can bring somebody upstairs to the Gates lab and let them be by themselves. Or even if they won't, that's fine. We'll find another way. We'll get you curbside, whatever. And it worked pretty well back in October when we really started doing it. And I did have one gentleman, choose to leave rather than go upstairs and be on a computer by himself. But we were in no way, he had a medical, he showed me something that appeared to be medical, and that's fine, but it doesn't help the people he's around. So, right. So let's get you upstairs. Be happy to.
I think you reasonably accommodating him.
Right. And he chose not to, and that's fine. That was his choice. He was offered a reasonable accommodation. Overall, really good compliance, and only a couple of people chose to say, you know what, I don't want any part of this, and left. And that's fine. They have a right to do that. As long as we're treating everybody the same.
Right.
We're treating everybody the same.
Absolutely. And not to, create trouble when there isn't any, which it sounds like there isn't, but if there were to be a problem, do you have a backup plan? Like, are there city police who are close enough to provide assistance? Or
it's the same thing we have when we have any problems like that. We call city police and have no problem. And actually, I think it's a good thing in most cases, calling them where that person who's causing the problem can hear it and knows that the police officer is on their way. We have a pretty good relationship with them. They know that we don't call for just anything. And if it's something that can wait, we tell them that. But we have a pretty good response time for the most part. But that's a potential problem anytime you have to ask somebody to leave. We've been really, really fortunate on this. There's been only a couple people that I know of that really dug their heels in, but they left. So
that's good news. That's very good news. It's not a problem, and you've got a good relationship with the people who can help. So that's fantastic. Does anyone else like to raise any questions or comments? Okay, then.
I forwarded that email to you, Rick, from that company that was asking for money.
Thank you. I would like to read you guys an email that we just got. If you can indulge me, it'll take about 30 seconds to read it.
Yeah.
This person had already emailed me about a particular staff member and how this staff member, Shelley Whiteside, went out of her way to, the person, the patron emailed, she didn't know, how to navigate she's a browser. She didn't know how to navigate the electronic resources. So Shelley said, hey, I've been knowing you since the bookmobile days. Let me pick some things for you. And she was super happy about that. But then she sent me this email. 2 emails in one day. This probably won't happen again. However, when I picked up my books from the pickup books area in the library parking lot this AM and saw the library personnel who were bringing books out to the patrons, I thought that these people are essential workers / doers. Maybe, just maybe, the library needs a sign that says, "Heroes work here," as one often sees in front of healthcare facilities. The library is good for one's mental health, as I am sure that you would agree. Keep up the good work. So really appreciate it when we hear things like that.
That's great.
Yeah, that is great.
That just made me really happy. Like, cause I picked up my books today. Jennifer brought my books out. So like,
yeah. And it's just great that, that long-term relationship, between this patron and Shelley, who have, known each other as patrons for a long time. So Shelley was able to say, I know, the kind of things you like, and I'll help you. We'll just come on in and we'll have some books ready for you.
Well, that's why people like our library. I mean, our children's librarians were amazing when my kids were little, and I didn't even need them with me sometimes. I would just show up, they'd hand me stuff, and that's
awesome.
They
do that for me right now.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Rick.
That was awesome.
That was good.
That's a nice ending to the meeting.
Yeah. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Greg?
Yes.
Samantha?
Yes.
Sophia?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Thank you all.